Not your keys, not your coins. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. There's a lot of nuanced information here. And I'm a pretty quick study, don't get me wrong. I've been studying stuff for a long time and kind of like breaking down information, but what I was just talking to Jesse and Bullish about in the background, it's getting a little past my understanding. And that's okay. No problem there. But who do I want to have on to gain that understanding? There's a couple guys I go to. And I say their names loud and proud because I talk to a lot of people, so I kind of know how people work. Jesse has always given me, every time I talk to Jesse, he tells me something I do not know. And that is exciting because that means he's actively thinking all the time. And that means he's a guy like Jim Rat who likes to think and learn. So we have some specific things about Circle, USDC, Tornado Cash. Guys, everything's running. Richard Hart just tweeted out, not your keys, not your coins. Dear Hotbit users, we regret to inform you that Hotbit will have suspended trading, deposits, withdrawals, and funding functions. The exact time of resumption cannot be determined at this moment. That money is gone. I don't know shit about Hotbit. It's gone. All right. So let's get into this. I want to learn more. Is it a work day? It's Wednesday. I cannot believe I just had to check my phone to see what day it was. But it's a work day, baby. I'm ready to work. It's your boy GRC. Make sure you smash the like. We're going to be giving away some free tickets in Vegas to the Power City event. It's a concert, guys. I'm going to be there. I don't know if Jesse's going to be there because I didn't ask him yet, but he mentioned it. So I might be able to give him a nice handshake. That'll be great. Drink a beer. I'm really excited for all that stuff, guys. Let me just throw the pulse. Instead of the intro, since it's not morning or night, I'm going to do the pulse. ksb.tv/golf tournament Vegas next week. It's involved with the tickets, so it kind of is all synergy there. Check this out, guys. If you like golf, if you like winning crypto, but really if you want to hang out with all of us freaking guys, which is what I'm most excited about, dude. Like, I don't know if Bullish is going because he's like on the fence, but if I could just say hang out with Bullish and Jesse, dude, that would make my life. Those are the guys I like to hang around, not gonna lie. So let's get into it, guys. KSBTV/golf. Hit the like if you're in here. I'm going to drop the tweet. Please retweet it, guys. Let's get it going. The road to 100K subs starts now. What was I playing again? Why do I not see it? KSB.TV presents the Pulse Masters Golf Tournament. We have two shotgun times, 7:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Registration is 1 hour prior. The Concord course offers a 7,034-yard par 72 layout with Bermuda fairways and large greens. The spectator pass is $55. The individual golfer is $195. In the golf foursome, $750. Play Golf Network with others and win crypto prizes. September 5th, 2022. Contact us at KSBTV/golf.
Yo.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Well, I always, you like to come on when there's real news. Like you start DMing me and texting people when there's like some stuff going on that you feel like you probably have insight on that guys like me could use a little insight on. What is the main thing that's popped up in the news in the last day, Jesse, that is important to you or important to tell the people?
Well, I think there's a lot going on. There's a whole lot going on in just a few days. But I think the biggest topic is this Tornado Cash deal with Tornado Cash getting shut down. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. That was a tool people use for privacy so they could hide their net worth from people as they're sending crypto around the world. and doing various things.
But it's more new, like, for me, it's like, I just don't want people to see my bags.
Yes, that's the whole point. That's
And
the
I
whole
know, but,
point.
like, it seems like you say you wanna be like a whatever the word is for being completely off the grid, but really, I just don't want Bullish and Jesse and Hex Tattooer and everyone just seeing every dollar I've ever sent in my life because I feel like that's a right.
It is. Okay. It's one thing if you on ramp and exchanges keep your data and you have to KYC, because they're handling fiat, and that's just the way the laws work on central exchanges that allow you to transact with fiat. That will never change. As much as people even complain about KYC at the exchange level will never go away. Okay. People have to just understand that when you're dealing with fiat, which is money that's owned by a government, they have every right to know what's happening with that money. But once you purchase something, whose business is it after that, right? Why is it any central authority or government or other person's right to know all the different things that I buy with my fiat? Okay, I could buy a bicycle and I could trade that bicycle for a car or, for a toaster oven, and it's nobody's business but myself, right? I shouldn't have to disclose all the different things that I own that I purchased with my fiat so that the world can see all my property. And with crypto, it just looks like the direction that the governments are trying to go with, shutting down Tornado Cash is they just want everything to be public to everybody. And then they fall back to this excuse, well, it's blockchain. That's the way blockchain is supposed to work. Well, no, because you've always had a right or a means to be able to hide your assets from other people. Now, there's no doubt that bad people who are thieves also use these sort of tools. Okay, bad people use the same tools that good people use throughout history. Okay, this is nothing new. Okay, the quantity of people that are using these tools for good likely far outweighs the quantity of people that use them for bad. So what's the solution? Like, how do you maintain your privacy? If I was going to buy some sort of ticket from you or just send you crypto for whatever reason, um, like all my accounts are linked in one fashion or another. Um, so typically I wouldn't want to just send you some crypto. Hey, here's, a half an ETH. And then you can just look on chain and see all the rest of my bags. You can see all my hex, and you can see all my ERC20s, and you can see this and that. Like that's a big security risk if I was to do that. I don't know you. I don't know like who that's going to get shared with, or who's watching that, or who knows where I live, and now that person knows my entire net worth, and now they come and rob me. Right? That you should always have the right to hide your value, your net worth. Now this goes to businesses as well, right? Let's say what business in history has ever been forced to disclose all of their payrolls, their purchase
I would have
history?
been screwed in my company before this if that happened because I had so much competition. If they knew anything about me, they would use that information to their
Yeah,
benefit.
yeah.
Might
Most
be the
payroll
law.
departments, uh, like they even hide salary bands and like how much each salary band pays. Not only do they not tell everyone what each individual person is making, they literally hide the salary band levels so that you just have no clue. Like, okay, that guy is probably he's obviously in my chain. He's above me. I know he makes more than me, but I have no idea how much he makes. All right, and they keep all of that private, and it's really for the good of the the company. It protects them, and it allows them to sell things at profit without, you know, uh, it, it, the markets can then buy products based on supply and demand instead of what other companies are selling, you know, their purchase price. Maybe you buy a product and it costs you $3, but then you turn around and you sell it for 20. Okay, but you had to import it and do all these things and pay duty, import taxes and stuff. But you turn it around for a profit. It's not the public's business what your initial cost was for that thing. Okay, so if we're ever going to see widespread adoption and use in crypto, you have to have privacy methods, or businesses are just never going to use crypto. They're never going to store their money as ETH or
I
as
was gonna send
PLS
someone
or as
$100.
USDC or anything
I
if
was
they don't
sending
have a way
someone
to
a
mask
100.
it.
Right. I was gonna send someone $100 today before the show, and I had like 15 minutes before the show. I got a bunch of computers and shit, so I'm like, thinking, how am I gonna send this? And at the end of the day, I was like, I'll do it later because I want to be more cautious about how I send it. Because you lose track of shit after 55,000 airdrops. You forget exactly what the fuck each wallet is doing, or like how they're connected. So I was like, I need more than 15 minutes. I need like 30 minutes maybe, just because I was worried about doxing just for $100 transaction to someone I don't know. My whole shit. I don't know who
Right.
these people are.
Exactly. So it was a little bit, it kind of sucked. Okay, Tornado Cash, no more. Okay, maybe in some parts of the world or something you can use it, but certainly not in the United States. And anybody who tries to use it, even if you're not in the United States, I'm sure
You're
they'll be
puckering your
looking.
butthole.
Yeah,
You're
because they'll
worried.
be looking for you to block, to block your address. It would suck if you tried to use Tornado Cash, um, and like a couple months from now, you go to withdraw on Coinbase or something, and Coinbase is like, your account, just like the Hotbit thing we saw today. Sorry, withdrawals are suspended on your account, right? And then you're like, what's going on?
And they
So
say
you
they
spend
don't
12
know when
hours
it
on the
will
phone
be
trying to
open.
get a hold of somebody at Coinbase for them to tell you, oh, well, we blacklisted your address. Like, that would really suck.
Now, when it comes to alternative Tornado Caches, just give me your give me your piece, because that's the first question people say. The first question that comes up is alternatives. Are they already exist to a trusting degree? And there's trust there. You need to trust the protocol. So in your experience so far, have you seen anything?
Um, yes, there's other ways to mask transactions, right? Because privacy is a human right. And you still got to be able to hide your net worth for people, just like the example you gave. Months ago, probably a year ago, I posted a how-to, how to use this technology that's called Dandelion Plus Plus. Okay, now let's not confuse people with this name. What it is certain privacy coins actually have code built in at the chain level that completely eliminate the sending and receiving address and the transaction quantities, and it doesn't store any of that in the blocks, right? So it processes the transactions, makes sure everything's valid, but it doesn't save that data on the chain, right? So there's no blockchain record of a sending and receiving address or transaction amounts. Okay, various coins use this. One of them that was really good at doing this was called Grin coin, but it just failed to get like mass adoption. Monero has this technology built in. I think maybe Zcash might have it built in, but Digibyte is probably the easiest to use. Now, how do you get some of these coins?
Digibyte. I heard
And
that a
if
long
you
time
have,
ago.
so So there's a method you have to go through, and there's a few steps to be able to mask your transactions using one of these privacy coins.
I'm taking notes.
So let's go through an example with Digibyte. You have to have a Digibyte wallet. Okay. You also have to have a wallet that allows you to swap into Digibyte. So it requires you to have two different wallets. So what you would do is you would download Digibyte Wallet. You would also download something like Atomic Wallet. Atomic Wallet's interesting because it lets you swap into all sorts of stuff, right? You can have ETH and swap into Cardano. You have Cardano, you want to swap into Hex. You have Hex and want to swap into Digibyte. Like you can swap across any chains, and it actually uses an exchange in the background to do that for you. So you would download Atomic Wallet. You would send some of your ETH, your Hex, or whatever you have to your Atomic Wallet and immediately swap it into Digibyte. Okay. From there, you send your Digibyte to the official Digibyte wallet. Inside of there, from it's already factory checked from the time you download it. There's this little thing in the settings. It's called Dandelion Plus Plus, which does all this masking and doesn't record the sending and receiving addresses and all that. Okay, so just you don't even need to screw with the settings. It's already in there. So you send the Digibyte from Atomic Wallet to your Digibyte wallet.
I think I lost you for a second, Jesse, after you said Digibyte wallet. I think your mic might have shut off or ran out of batteries or something. Just pop it in the chat. Yeah, there he is. He's coming in on a different one. You're good, man. The last thing you said was
All right, sorry.
The last thing you said was Digibyte wallet.
You send your Digibyte from Atomic Wallet to the Digibyte wallet. From there, you send the Digibyte coins back to a fresh Atomic Wallet address. The link has been broken. On that fresh Atomic Wallet Digibyte address you sent to, you simply go and swap your Digibyte back into ETH, and then send that wherever you want it to go. Send it to your hardware wallet or MetaMask or wherever you want it to go. So the steps all from the beginning: acquire ETH, for example, send it to Atomic Wallet, swap it for Digibyte, send the Digibyte to the Digibyte wallet, send it back to a fresh address, swap it back for ETH, do whatever you want to do, and you just broke the link. It's that simple.
Not very simple, but simple to you. Simple in reality, but as far as like other people knowing. You know what I mean? It's like the whole, like, how do people figure out about this shit? How do people know? Like, how?
Are you there?
Yeah, I heard everything you said. How? This is weird. At what point does it even fucking matter? Because you're just like everyone's doxxed, and it's
I
like,
can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Just give me one sec. Could you guys hear me in the chat? Give me a little biceps in the chat. Let's see if you can hear me now. Can you hear me now?
All right, I'll back out and come back in. Give me a second.
Guys, real quick, if you haven't already, retweet this tweet. This is a Just Ask Jesse tweet. Yeah, that RuneScape shit. Okay, let me mention that real quick because you're lucky I caught that. The gods had me in there. And Eric was talking about RuneScape. He doesn't know that I'm almost pro and I'm semi-pro. Probably could be pro, but it's kind of boring. And what he was saying kind of made sense, but like it doesn't make sense because you need to pay. I mean, it's again like there's so much nuance there. There's probably a lot of ways that we could find a way to send a little bit of money to and fro a situation, but I need to be able to do this with all my money without interacting with RuneScape. That's a little bit. That was Richard left right at the end of that because he was just like, ugh, like we need a real application. We need real. I get the point that he was saying, but my RuneScape account would eat his in one bite. So I know way more about RuneScape than him. I've been playing it for 12 years. Oh, well, I'm skipped 8 years. But Jesse, what up? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So just start off again. You say you send your Digibyte to your or from Atomic Wallet to Digibyte, and then you send your.
And then all you do is send it back to a fresh Atomic Wallet address. So you would just delete or clear out your existing Atomic Wallet, fire up a new one with a new seed phrase or whatever. Okay, click on DGB, click receive, grab that address, and then you send your Digibyte from your Digibyte wallet to that fresh Atomic Wallet DGB address. Okay, once you do that, you've just broken the record. And from there, you can just swap it back into ETH. And then send the ETH wherever you want to. Or Hex or BNB or Cardano, whatever you decide to swap your DGB into. You've just completely broken the record by sending the DGB to the official DGB wallet and then sending it back out to a fresh address.
So there is a way around that, but how? At what point does it? I'm asking you, like, if you were moving through crypto for the next year, how important is it to do something like that for you, rather than just like, I don't even know. What about like having a separate wall? No, I can't even think about it.
Well, that's
How
how you
important
do.
is
Well,
it to you?
that's how you would do it completely trustlessly with no counterparty. Okay, you can do the same thing just by sending to an exchange. So let's say you had KuCoin or Binance or something. You can send to there, and then your funds end up going to a hot wallet where there's like a whole bunch of like everybody's coins. It's kind of like a mixer already right there on the exchange because everything gets stored in these hot wallets. You could do a swap, on the exchange and then send those tokens out somewhere else to a fresh address and you're good to go. But there's still like you still gave up some of your privacy to that exchange. If that exchange was to get subpoenaed or if like there's still a record, right? There's still a record residing somewhere and that record is with the exchange at that point. And there's counterparty risk, not your keys, not your coins. So how do you do this trustlessly? Well, you've got to use privacy coins to do that. So like Digibyte, like I said, or Monero or something like that. You've got to acquire those coins. And the most trustless way to acquire those would be through Atomic Wallet, not on an exchange. And then send your stuff to that blockchain, that Monero or that Digibyte or whatever, and then send it back out to a fresh address and you're good to go.
So thank you so much for that. That's important. I'm sure there's some guys in here that wrote that down. But besides that, we're in a bit of a no human rights crisis, and I'm just going to let that ride for right now with where I'm at. There's still a way. There's still ways. They're very nuanced. They're very like if you're in the weeds already, and that's okay. Like I could do everything you just said, no problem. But again, that curve where people will actually, because people don't do stuff like that. It would almost have to be automatic unless it's like you, Richard, those rich people, all the Hexicans that have been in for a long time. Like, yeah, they might really care. But for the majority of people, I don't even know. They'll just go with it, right? Like they'll just go with the protocol of the United States or whatever jurisdiction they're in. Isn't that what most people will do?
Well, were most people using Tornado Cash? Most rich people were. Vitalik was even using it.
Oh,
like he tweeted saying he said, "Hey, I'm guilty. I used it too, before I sent funds to Ukraine." So like it was just simply a tool. And while some people haven't used it yet, maybe it's because they don't feel that they have the need. Maybe they didn't have millions of dollars and were going to send, to somebody that they just didn't care yet.
How many of the wallets that use Tornado Cash got frozen? Did it matter how much?
I think anything that had stuff currently inside of Tornado Cash waiting to be withdrawn, I think all of those are frozen.
Oh, that is awful. That is really shitty. And I mean, I don't know what to
Right.
say.
And some people would send a Tornado Cash and leave that stuff in there for a week.
Bullish is saying
Some
Mintra
people
used it
probably
for the
send it in.
sacrifice phase. Could there be implications there?
They're probably fine because they probably already got their stuff out of those
Right.
pools.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But if their stuff was like, let's say their entire sacrifice was sitting in those mixer pools right now, well, then they'd be screwed.
Yeah, so basically it's about moving quick. Just like I have money in Coinbase all the time, but it's only on there for 6 minutes, and then it's never on there again. So I guess it would be just understanding that you can't just only 70K USDC was frozen. Wow. That's really interesting. Thanks for that.
Right. Some people would send their stuff in and leave it there for like a week.
Well, the guy
some
earlier said
people
his brother had billions of millions of dollars on Coinbase. He's never even turned on Coinbase since he put the money in there. There's people that just leave money places.
millions of dollars on Coinbase and he just never uses it.
He just never
That's funny.
even looks at it. Like he just doesn't care about crypto. Are you there?
Yeah.
You're good. So as far as the next subject, we have Curve Protocol. Do you want to touch on that real quick, or is that not super important to you? Because I heard it was less important.
Yeah, it brings up some good discussion points. All right, so we always talk about code being immutable and good. Okay, so Hex is a good example of immutable code that's just rock solid and good. Liquidity is a good example. There's several good examples of code that's immutable that just works and nobody can change it. And protocols, there are good protocols. There's Maker, there's Liquidity, there's Hex, there's Curve. There's all sorts of DeFi protocols that are actually good. Curve just had an incident where their front end was compromised. Now, what does that mean? That means their code is still good, but something happened with their front end where their front end was not doing what it was supposed to be doing. A front end is simply a website, right? It's got some fancy pictures and buttons that you can click, and you can type quantities and stuff inside of it. And when you click these buttons, what they're doing is these buttons are just interacting with the contracts that are on the blockchain, right? It's just, and then your wallet will get a little ping, and then you'll have to approve the transaction or whatever. So we still have to trust people to some extent. We have to trust the internet to some extent. There's always a level of centralization. No matter how good the code of something is, it can always be broken, and people can get wrecked if something goes wrong at the internet level, at the front end level. Let me give an extreme example. And this isn't the FUD. This is just the truth. We all love Hex.
I love it.
Hex is great. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm listening loud and clear.
All right. What if somebody has spooled up a front end for Hex that's flawless, but one day somebody gains access to that website, whether it was built with WordPress or however it was, but maybe it's hosted on Amazon Web Services, and somebody gained access to that website, and they simply changed what the button clicks do. Okay, so now when you click stake, instead of your Hex being staked, it's actually pointing to a fresh contract that's never been, nobody's ever run before, and it's just doing a send of your hex from one address to another. Now, if you're not paying attention and you don't read that little thing that pops up on your wallet that says, "Do you want to approve this send?" and you're like, "Wait a minute, send? I wanted the stake." But it would be really easy to miss that. So you're like, "Oh, cool, I just clicked stake. Oh, cool, I just got a notification on my wallet. It says send. It's probably sending to the contract or whatever, blah, blah." And you click it, and now it just did a simple send of all your hex to some thief's wallet. Okay? And all it took was for somebody to gain access to the front end and change what the button clicks do and have them point to new contracts. This is like, so we run around all the time saying immutable, it can never be affected, not just hex, but a whole bunch of stuff. But the truth is, everything has some sort of flaw. There's always a way to hack and steal if people try hard enough. So this should just raise this
So
curve thing.
basically, they
It's
just
not.
have to make the value proposition hard enough where people don't have the money to do it, or it's not a profitable action.
Yeah, there just has to be endless security measures in place on these Web 2, front ends. There's just tons of stuff that has to be put in place to protect users of your protocol. It's not as simple as having cool code that works and is immutable. It's more than that. You have to have like a solid budget with a solid front end and security in place and security audits of not just the code of the Solidity code, like for the protocol, but also of what's going on the website to make sure that your users are safe.
I'm going to let Bullish chime in real quick. I'm going to transition him in because he has a few insights on this that I think are pretty important.
What's up, fam? So I just wanted to add some points to what Jesse just said. So even no matter how good your security from the front end standpoint might be, a lot of Web 1, Web 2, and even Web 3 is based on open source technology. So about less than a year ago, there was a big incident having to do with WordPress websites where a open source JavaScript library that's been available to the public for over 20 years, the main developer for that open source protocol, something happened with him. He went MIA. Someone else gained access, changed 3 lines of code, and was able to hack over 500,000 WordPress sites. So even stuff that's out of your control can still be an attack surface. So these are the type of things you need to keep in mind when you're dealing with front ends and websites, that even if, that using hex.com, he has the best developers, the best security, the best front end, technology he's relying on, this open source, can be hacked, and that can be the attack vector.
And then what happens from there, Sam? I mean, what happens from there, Bully? Because people want to know, maybe people that are newer, like, how could this affect their funds on Hex if there's a front end hack?
Well, you will have to be savvy enough to know what happened. And this is just the internet. This is like, the internet truly is, the wild, wild west. So, no matter what precautions or what measures you take to make sure that your stuff is locked down, if you're relying on open source software, something can happen to that, which will automatically update because it's just pulling from repositories. And then that can be the way that, a hacker gets in. So, and there's many examples, if you Google it, of hackers just specifically, instead of trying to hack a website, they'll try to hack a library or an SDK or something and get in that way. So there's multiple ways that these hackers can get creative to in order to like hack your website without directly hacking it.
Thank you very much, Bullish. I mean, it's a scary situation because, I mean, not for me really, because I don't give a fuck about much. I just am but for the people that have risk associated in their life and overhead and children, I don't even want them in crypto right now if they don't know what the fuck's going on.
Just a caveat, just to go down another rabbit hole. we shout about immutability all the time and never being able to change it and decentralized. And listen, that actually decentralized works for many protocols, but as long as you realize that there's always a level of centralization at the Web 2 front end level. Somebody always owns that website that allows you to access those contracts easily. There's workarounds if those go down, usually, if you're a coder and you know how to write scripts and you can push commands directly, to the chain, right? But most people don't know how to do that. Okay, so there's still a level of centralization at all of these front ends. What Hex did was it allowed, like, it's open for anybody to build a front end that talks to the code, right? So that helps further decentralize Hex because anybody can spool up a front end. Liquid Loans is the same way. Anybody can spool up a front end. So if one of them goes down, or if one guy forgets to pay his Amazon Web Services bill and the website stops for a minute, there's always a way to go to a different website and still interact with your stuff, right? That's very important. There's a lot of protocols that don't have that, where it's only one single front end. And if that thing fails, you're screwed. Tornado Cash is an example. Like, there was only one place to go for that. Okay. And it got taken down. And now those people with those 70,000 ETH are screwed. But is centralization important for certain things? NFTs. Let's say you're hosting an NFT platform and it's as decentralized as possible. Let's just say you've made it completely decentralized and some a-hole comes in there, some pedo comes in there and he starts putting like kitty porn in there, and there's nothing you could do because your code's completely immutable and you have no way to shut down and blacklist and stop that bad shit from happening. Like, is that a good thing? No, obviously not. When you have some sort of platform that allows people to put content on it, and knowing that there's bad people in the world, there's pedos in the world, for example, there's murderers in the world, you have to have some way to control, delete, blacklist, report certain things that are happening on that platform that you've created. And that's centralization and a good reason to have some level of control of certain types of protocols. Not all protocols need this sort of thing, but stuff like NFT marketplaces and stuff, they do need this sort of thing.
So, for as far as safety is concerned, in your opinion, just like a broad overview, like how worried should people be? How over leveraged? There's a lot of people over leveraged into crypto. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing right now. I would, in my head and my heart, it would say probably a bad thing. But again, long term, everything will turn around. But I'm scared about all these where everyone has their money because unlike a lot of the Hexicans who just keep their money pretty much in the same spot for the most part or try to, it seems like everyone else in crypto has their money everywhere.
When you say everyone else in crypto,
it's just like everyone other than the guys that actually read stuff.
So in plain English, are you saying that most Hexicans have all their things in Hex and only in Hex? And then
well, no, not even
around
that.
the rest of the crypto space and people are diversified?
Richard's educated at least guys like me to the point where I was super concerned about stuff like this. So I was unaffected by all of it. I've always, even on Tornado Cash, even on providing liquidity, I've told everyone I have the money to do it. I have transactions I want to send, but I'm not ready yet. I'm not bought in yet. I don't trust it yet, but I'm somebody who actually looks into stuff before they do it. I really do. I don't like doing stuff without knowing what the fuck's going on. But I noticed that that's not reality for most people. And we're talking about a lot of funds. And there's a lot of Hexicans too. I mean, a lot of Hexicans don't know what the fuck's going on, just like a lot of everyone. But I'd say they've been a little bit extra educated from Richard. I'm just worried. Like, how worried should people be if they don't have a good eye on crypto? Like, if they don't understand, like, what's the risk right now? Like, are we super, 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 super high risk for everything, even if it's just a dump?
Yes. Crypto is super risky. For one, it's volatile. The tiniest bit of FUD and everyone starts dumping and you lose, tens of percentage, of what you put in just on the smallest of news. And then the smallest of news makes these things pump, 2x, 3x, 4x.
News that doesn't even exist. It's just
Yeah,
news.
news that's all fake and people have made up, or they say they're going to do this or say they're going to do that. It's just super volatile. And then every now and then there's some bad actor that just steals everyone's money out of some pool somewhere, or hacks into some front end and just starts stealing money from people. Like this is crypto, and it's always been this way. It's been this way since the beginning of Bitcoin, and it really hasn't gotten any better.
It doesn't seem like it. Cardano dropped 99% last cycle. Hex dropped 95% this cycle. There's some assets people actually trust that are going to drop 99% and maybe still survive, but a lot of the times they won't. And it's just like, guys, this is the ethos of what I'm trying to say, at least, is like, this is super risky shit. And if you're not protecting yourself by having a lot of funds and a lot of assets, which you should try to do, you could be in trouble, and then put myself included, like I'm not immune to anything. I just don't have any overhead. So I really,
It's important, so you have to look at these protocols and you have to say, is there a use case? Check that block. Is this something that is, we'll still have a use case 10 years from now? Check that block. Is the team who built it, do they like to educate us? Are they involved? Do they care? Or did they just build something and bounce? Okay, check that block, because you always need some sort of leader, some sort of face to just keep pushing and educating, right? So like with Hex, you can easily check that box, and then say, okay, how decentralized is this? If this one front end fails, is there another front end I can access with? Check that block. Is it immutable? And knowing that not all things can be immutable, but most DeFi protocols can have most of their contracts immutable. So check that block. And all you can really do is just go down the list and say, okay, out of these 10 criteria I made for myself, 9 of the boxes are checked. This is probably a good investment. Let me throw some money at this crypto. Okay. There's a lot of pump and dump stuff out there. There really is. There's stuff that has absolutely no use case, but has great marketing. They pitch it to the world like, hey, this thing, like the only use case is, hey, this thing is going to pump when everyone buys it. And it's going to, 1000x because everyone's going to buy it. But you're like, okay, yeah, but what does it do? Oh, it doesn't do anything. It's just going to pump when everyone buys it. You're like, okay, well, what goes up must come down. So now you're just playing chicken, right? If you decide to buy that, are you buying at the right time where you can dump before everyone else and just take everyone's money by doing that?
and that's why I think it was pissed to Pulse Doge, because they were like, dude, look at this 2-month chart. It goes straight up. I'm like, that's the sketchiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, so is that the time to buy? If it went straight up for 2 months, it's like, oh, now's a good time to buy.
No, it's not. It's fucking stupid.
Right, and maybe it keeps going, but look how that works for any coin. Like, I remember, listen, there's always going to be people that have to buy the top, and they're going to learn a lesson because other people are going to dump on their heads, and then they have to wait long, and they're going to be out of profit. They're going to be in loss for a long time. But if it's a good crypto, like Richard always talks about, these things always recover. If it's checked all the other blocks, if it has a use case, if it still has a use case 5 years from now, And there's always likely people that want to buy that sort of product. Then the price will always recover eventually and go back to new all-time highs. Meme coins don't typically go back to all-time highs again. Most of them, or garbage coins, tax coins. A lot of the tax in, tax out stuff is very Ponzi-ish.
I love when they like take one of the side of the taxes out and then like the price pumps. I'm like, these guys are morons. It's like they'll price pump for like a negative externality just getting like slightly taken away that they're getting fleeced on.
Right.
Now, as far as, remember, what is the Coinbase? Who owns Coinbase again? No, who owns USDC again?
Circle.
So can we start talking about Circle and some of the implications there? Because I think that's really important.
Yeah, so ETH is migrating to ETH 2.0. It's proof of stake. Okay. And a lot of organizations are coming out saying they're no longer going to support proof of work ETH. They're going to be fully on board with proof of stake ETH. Now it's looking like it's going to be like two different chains. And the shit on the old ETH isn't going to work anymore, right? They're really doing their best to like push these miners out of business when nothing works anymore. So Circle is one of those people. They said that they're only going to support ETH proof of stake to include any forks. Any forks of ETH, they're not going to be supporting with USDC. Well, what is Pulse Chain? It's a fork of ETH. Technically, it's a fork of Binance, but let's be real. Everything's a fork of ETH.
Everything's a fork of ETH, though, yeah.
Right. So that means we're not going to see natively launched USDC on Pulse Chain. Okay, Circle is intent on having all their USDC natively launched on ETH 2.0, and they could care less about any of these side chains. Matic, Phantom, Avalanche, like they don't care. They're going all in on ETH 2.0. We've already seen that they have the ability to turn off addresses. And they're quick to use that ability, right? So what does this mean? I think we'll still be able to bridge USDC in from ETH 2.0 to Pulse Chain. I think that won't be a problem. Oh, by the way, this is something Richard has to think about, and probably the bridge teams need to start scrambling to fix or whatever. They built a bridge going to ETH. But have they built a bridge going to ETH 2.0, which is where everything's going to be, like, that's where everything's going to be, right? So what good is an ETH going to ETH 1, or a bridge going to ETH 1 if ETH 1 is just garbage and nobody uses it anymore? So that bridge has got to get fixed. But then are we going to see USDC bridged in to Pulse Chain? Probably. And it'll probably be fine with all the same regular risks. There's a risk of, bridge vulnerabilities and stuff. But the copied over USDC, how quick is Circle going to be to say, oh, we don't like that. Let's just block all these liquidity provider addresses, over at PulseX, so they can't move that USDC and nothing can be done with it because we don't like it. They own the contracts. They've already shown that they don't want to support any side chains. And they've proven that they can do that with what happened with Tornado Cash. So it's not out of the question that they could just stop all addresses from being able to move the copied USDC. Will they do that? Nobody knows. Okay, but what is the solution? Well, it's a solution I've been harping about for it feels like a year now. We have, coming to a Pulse Chain near you, a natively launched community-run stablecoin called USDL. I've been telling people about the risks of USDC for months and months and months, and a lot of this just keeps coming true. And it's just like one thing after another. It's like, look, I told you, if you're not paying attention to what's going on with liquid loans, okay, get the sacrifice part out of your head. Okay, some people didn't like that there was a sacrifice. They wish they had gotten things for free. And some people didn't like the never selling narrative, which is awesome, by the way, because you literally don't have to sell your pulse. Put all that aside for a second and just think to yourself, look at all of the problems with centralized exchanges and institutions. Everything is getting fucked. Everything. And what you have coming to Pulse Chain is a community run, completely decentralized, no counterparty risk stablecoin that runs flawlessly over on Ethereum chain. So flawlessly that it's funny. Look at the price of LUSD right now. It's like $1.05. And it's like, why is it at a premium? It's literally because people are so anxious to get their hands on it because it's unbreakable. It can't be stopped, that nobody is willing to sell it. Even though there's arbitrage opportunity and you can easily sell it for $1.05 worth of ETH and you can like make some mad profits, like those people who currently hold that LUSD are literally holding it with diamond hands, so much so that they're not even willing to take a 5% quick gain from an arbitrage. It's absolutely beautiful. It works flawlessly, and it's going to do the exact same thing on Pulse Chain. So
it's good news. It's good news because, all this stuff that's happening and you reassuring us that you still believe that the liquidity clearly still up, like you just mentioned, and the fork of that liquid loans is going to have a similar situation because there's positive pressure there from everything else going down.
right.
It's like everything else is going down and people are like, okay, what do we need in crypto? A stable coin that works. How does that happen? Community driven. It has to be. There's trust there. It has to be.
Right.
To a degree. Like we trust Richard Hart. I trust Richard Hart not to sell all the shit on my head.
Right.
And that's a
he's like one of the only founders who has never sold his stuff. Or we can say the OA, right? The OA. What is an OA? It's an origin address. Who owns origin addresses? Founders of coins who have to spool up a bunch of addresses to mint tokens to and from and whatnot, right? These are origin addresses. So let's be real. Richard has never sold anything from any OA or sister wallets or like it just hasn't. Now he's liquidity provided, which is essential to make a market. Some could say that's a form of selling, but it's actually a form of selling that doesn't have any negative impact on the price. So like we literally have a great founder in Hex that doesn't dump on our heads. Even Vitalik dumps on people's heads. He convinced the ETH Foundation to dump 70,000 ETH at the top at like 5K. That's just the ETH Foundation guys. What about his own personal stack or his buddies that he told about? What are we talking? 150,000, 200,000 ETH? And they do this every single cycle. And then people argue that fact and they say, oh, but it's okay. They're doing it so that they can develop ETH. Okay. What does that mean? Well, they're pumping up their salaries. They're paying their devs probably way too much than necessary. It's like, it doesn't cost 200,000 ETH to build a blockchain, even ETH 2.0 blockchain. Okay. They have a lot of devs, but I'm sorry, when you dump the top like that and you make the top every single cycle, the story's a little bit deeper than just, oh, we need the money for development.
Yeah, it's like we know the exact top and we're going to milk the shit out.
Yeah. Or look at this giant parabolic bull run. Hey, it's probably a good time to dump our coins now. Okay, and take profit. Like
they probably got a guy that watches Richard. They probably, these people are smart people. They're around and they're probably paying attention. What do you think when Richard calls those levels, those low levels, so abruptly, and he screams them over the hilltops, just like you said about the other side of this, where Vitalik is like insider information? It almost seems like Richard does the same thing on the opposite end, and he tells everyone he sells his ETH. He's like, I sell ETH, I buy shit with ETH. He said that over the last few live streams, which I've noticed. So I forgot what the question was.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good point, right? So you've got Vitalik who dumps the top secretly and then just creates the top and fucks everybody. And for the people who say, oh, but it doesn't affect the price. Look at the damn chart. It literally made the top.
Well, that was that's the story.
When ETH was $5,000 and now it's, it went all the way down to like $900 or whatever it went to. Like literally all those people between those two price points lost money. Okay. Because of that action and that constant dumpage that occurred after that. It was just a money flow from the new people to the old people. Right. So to say that, oh, there's enough liquidity that it didn't matter. That's not what the price chart shows. Who cares how much the liquidity is? What matters also is the price, and it wrecked the price.
And people know those wallets, I'm sure, and they wait on them.
But he did it secretly too, right?
Oh, I didn't know.
What's interesting is like Richard tells everyone, he calls these tops, and it's like he's warning his community, hey, there's going to be a dump coming up. He can feel it, or he just stares at the charts, or he just knows the behavior of Vitalik or whatever. And he says, hey, the top is, 60K or whatever, 70, whatever he called the top at for Bitcoin. And he tells his community, giving everyone else a chance to get out of their positions if they listen to him.
Now, if you were Richard and you were going to be 100% transparent for a second to an audience that does not need to hear the information that he's saying, what would you say? Like, how he says 100% uptime, 100% of this, all this stuff. Where do you think because that verbiage probably skips over some of the nomenclature or whatever. So, like you said, yeah, we have 13 front ends. Like he mentions that sometimes. We have 13 front ends, but what does he not mention? Like, what do you think he'd not mention that wouldn't be so glamorous for people to hear, but he probably knows to be the truth? But some things are unnecessary to tell people too. They just cause chaos.
Well, in regards to Hex,
mm-hmm.
Hex is like an open book, I think. Okay, we know all the behaviors and patterns of everybody. It's all on chain. It is what it is. It inflates itself a little bit, and it pays people who decide to stake, right? Instead of paying miners who, have to cover their electrical costs, so that, like, they have to dump. Like, Hex stakers can still dump, but they don't have to dump, like, to recoup electrical costs, like Bitcoin miners do. So it's literally just a better version of Bitcoin. It's cleaner. If you're into the whole green world thing, okay, sure, it's cleaner. And it doesn't have the negative, sell pressure that Bitcoin miners make. It's literally that simple. It's just a better version of Bitcoin. Okay, so I think Hex, or I would hope that people are starting to realize that. And at some point, people are going to give in and they're going to say, you know what? Richard's a little weird. He tries all these different marketing tactics and it's a little weird, but, he is a good guy. And this Hex thing is kind of cool. And it's better than Bitcoin. And Bitcoin kind of sucks because, there's a better way. So I would hope that that's how things go. Now, and all that's an open book, and Hex is old enough where there's really not a whole lot of secrets in Hex. Pulse Chain, on the other hand, there are a lot of secrets. We have no idea the status of the chain. Right?
When you say status of the chain, you just mean like you don't know where they are in their update process for what they need to do?
Yeah. Now, is that something we need to know? Well, it's something we would all like to know.
Mhm.
Do we have to know it? Maybe just a little reassurance that, hey, we're still working on this. We're, uh, we're probably somewhere between 2 and 6 months away. Or, hey, it could take another year. Just some sort of an idea to the community of some sort of timeline, and just a little snippet of what might be going on in the backside, like, would be nice. That's the only complaint that we can really have, because test network's great. It feels good, it's smooth, you know, but like, tell us what's going on with the real chain. I think we're all thinking the same thing. We're all being patient, most of us. Some people are impatient, but most of us are being very patient. But it would be nice if Richard rewarded our patience with a little bit of snippet of information.
Do you think he's feeling a little anxious?
I don't know, right? Because he does talk about a whole bunch of other things besides the chain. He talks about uh, stuff that he's doing in life and stuff that he's buying, and he talks about his mom, and he's a very personal guy. Like, you know everything about him, whether you like him or not, right? You know a lot about Richard because he just shares everything. But what he's not sharing a lot of is what's going on with this great chain that you said you're bringing. And this isn't FUD, and I hope he's listening. Um, I I just wish he shared.
He's listening too. That would be great. Biceps for Richard if you're listening.
I I just give us an update, man. Just a little bit. Like, what are we looking at? Are we looking at 2 months, 6 months, a year? Are there challenges that may push this out another year and a half? It's going to come eventually. We know that. Just give us an idea what's going on. Because the last thing that you want to see happen, I think, is all these, people who are developing, who are avid Hexicans and like community members that are trying to bring adoption to this thing. Last thing you want to see one by one is them start like launching on other chains and like losing faith and stuff. So just give a little bit of snippet of information is all these people want, I think.
Yeah, and I just want to add like 2 cents to this because, and I'm sure you can agree with me. Like me being a developer and also working with many developers, there's no way in hell that I'm just gonna rely on. I'm waiting on the developers and like act clueless about it. Like at the end of the day, if you have ownership in a project and you're working day in day out with your developers, you at least have some sense of a timeline of when things are gonna get done. And recently, he has not been giving us that. So I agree with you.
And guys like me, if I had a project, I would be pissed. But I don't have a project.
Dude,
So
if my developers were just telling me it's done when it's done, they will all be fired. Like, I'm sorry, but like, that's just the truth of the matter.
not even that. I don't know how all that works, but I'm saying in general, like,
yeah, my point is before it was like 4 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever. Now it's just like whenever it's done. And to me, as someone who's in this industry, that's unacceptable. Because even if I have, I know he doesn't have stakeholders or investors, to report to deal with. But let's say even when I was, now at this point, 2 months ago, back in private equity, imagine me telling my boss, yeah, it's gonna be done when it's done. It's just not happening, because I'm in communication every day with my developers. I have some sense of an idea if it's gonna take another month, 2 months, 3 months. You know what I'm saying?
It just helps people plan, helps people move around assets to where they need to be. It helps them in their development stages. It helps these other protocols that are thinking about coming over to Pulse Chain, but they're like, we don't know what's going on over there. We poked around and looked at it, but the founder over there hasn't said, shit about it for 4 months. So we'll just stick over here on ETH. Like, it just helps. Just give some updates. That's all.
and if you're nervous, Rich, and if you're anxious, like a normal human would be, I just, I don't see why you couldn't just be honest with us. Like, you're not a superhero, like, I'm not a superhero. But I'll tell people what I'm capable of and what I'm not capable of. And if, like, for example, my car broke down the other day. and I'm fucked without a car for a little while. And I've been out without a car for months, and it's really bothered me. It's been hard on me. I feel defenseless as an adult sometimes because, you know, you got to get it fixed and it takes time and all that shit. And you know, sometimes just being transparent about where you're at can be the exact, it's exactly what you need. I think Richard tells us the truth about the markets a lot, but he's not very transparent about how he feels as an individual. And maybe that's not important, but to me, it's kind of important. Like, I'd like to know if he was, you know, very frustrated, kind of frustrated, uber frustrated. That doesn't mean it's not going to come out, right? But it would also give me an idea of like, hey, this isn't all predictable, guys. Hey, you know, sometimes waiting for the bull market's better. Hey, sometimes this, that, and the other. He tells us when the devs are done, it's done. And maybe that's the truth. But I mean, you know, I don't really care, but I would just like to know that he's like healthy. I think that would be like a big thing for me. Like mentally, where's he at? Like, how do you stay strong through all of this? He's not a robot. I've gone through really weird things in my life, and so is probably he has. So it's like, you know, I break down sometimes. It doesn't last long. I get together with some friends, and maybe he has a support system and stuff. But I'd like to remind everyone that you know, he's just a guy, just like you and me, and he's deciding to push really hard. And I'm sure there's some stress involved in that, you know. And if he could be transparent about the stress instead of it all just being twerk time, pee time. But again, I also defer to Richard a lot of the time because he's had 13 years solid in the market. And I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I'm not going to outsmart this guy at this point. So I'm like,
You know, through all his silly marketing, he really is a good guy. He really is. And he takes so much shit for years. He's taken shit from all these institutions, these guys who spool up these scam coins and these rug pulls and these things like Celsius that fail. Like, they give him so much shit. They name call him. They say he belongs in jail. They, you know, call him fat. They call him like all sorts of stuff. That takes a toll. It really does. To be picked on by all these people who are actually the bad guys, and just to keep pushing, trying to get education out there to, you know, so that people don't get wrecked. Like, that has to take a toll on somebody. And then to have that combined with the weight of, you still have regular life stuff that happens. You still have moms that get sick. You still have, you know, a giant blockchain that you're building, and a lot of people that are counting on you to make it a ballpark you know, knock it out of the ballpark and make it a massive success. That's just a ton of pressure for one guy, and money doesn't make that pressure go away. You could be a billionaire. That's still a lot of pressure. You still wake up every day and you're like, I have a lot of people counting on me. I need to do the best I can today. So all I can say is, Richard, we all support you. None of this was meant to be FUD at all. Keep being yourself, and maybe an update from time to time would be cool.
we love you, Richard, and we love the information that you have given to us freely. And, you know, the guys building on Pulse Chain, I can imagine, you know, I can just imagine the stress level for building on Pulse Chain, not knowing the updates. Come on, guys, that's stressful. And they're trying to help too. So it's like they're trying to help, but at the same time, it's out of their control. Just like my car situation, right? Like, it's just out of your control at some point. But like, if my guy told me, hey, I'm working on this, it'll be done on Thursday, maybe I'd feel better. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, well, then I could just wait till Thursday instead of just being like, well, I don't know how long it'll be. You know, they're not sure this, that. So I totally get where you're coming at. And I so much appreciate you coming on here and spitting all that friggin' alpha. Absolutely incredible. Thank you for teaching us about anonymity. Is autonomy the right word?
Anonymous transactions.
Yes.
Anonymity.
Anonymity, that's the word. Thanks about with the Digibyte and all that stuff, showing some people how these front ends can get messed with, and showing some people that there is a lack of control here, guys. And I think that was the major point. Things can happen. you can do better. Just like if all of the United States companies were tightened up and buttoned up, they might not be so worried about Tornado Cash. But Tornado Cash is probably a glaring hole that everyone can use in their bullshit that they didn't do right. So they're going to take it out. And they don't want people. So there's a lot of nuance here, guys. Jesse's updates are absolutely A1. A1 updates. He's always, he supports Hex. He supports Richard Hart. He supports freedom of speech and all the shit. And coming on here and just letting people know, it seems like since you made that move a month ago, you've been a little bit more free just to have chats, just to get around and really just give your points along with supporting LL along the way, which is really great to see.
Cool. What did you have tickets for a Power City party?
Yeah, Bullish, you want to come on real quick and help me do that?
So this time around, we're gonna do it a little different. Just try to get a little bit more engagement for this second go round. So if you want to if you're gonna be going to Vegas for PulseCon or the golf tournament or any of the other events happening, Power City is doing an amazing party. $48 if you want to purchase. Jesse, what's the website to purchase tickets?
Oh, it's like C.tickets. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, I'll drop it shortly.
Drop the link.
If you want to buy tickets, $48, you get liquor, you get food, you get performances, you get to hang out with a bunch of Hexicans and Pulsicans. But we're also giving out free tickets to attend that party. And to qualify for this stream, what you have to do is you have to retweet this show, which Jim is going to drop right now. Retweet it, and that will make you eligible to win the free tickets. But only retweet it regardless. But if you retweet it, put hashtag I will be in Vegas, and then that will qualify you. I already have a bot working that is basically randomizing it. So if you put hashtag I will be in Vegas, and it is compensating in case you do a typo, because I understand people sometimes spell it incorrectly. It's picking up both. So hashtag I will be in Vegas, and you will qualify to win free tickets.
So I didn't tweet out the link for this, but Jesse did. Should I just drop his?
Yeah, drop his.
Guys, right here, retweet this and hashtag. What's the hashtag one more time?
I will be in Vegas.
I will be in Vegas. I'll throw that hashtag down below, guys. I will be in Vegas, and I will be in Vegas, guys. The Golf Masters. I forgot what it.
Yeah, it's
Pulse
Masters
golf tournament. KSB.TV/golf, guys. I'm gonna run the promo as the outro, but make sure you retweet that tweet, and you hashtag I will be in Vegas, and you could get free tickets to the Power City party /concert / banger.
And before you play that, if anyone wants to follow Jesse, it's at Just Ask Jesse on Twitter. We're gonna drop that in the chat right now.
Drop that in the chat. Icosa coming out soon, guys. Our bags are packed for the moon. Don't care.
And Jesse, before we go off, any parting words?
There's a lot of cool stuff happening in Pulse Chain, at least, and there's a lot of bad stuff happening outside of Pulse Chain. There's hacks happening all the time. There's exchanges stealing people's money and pausing withdrawals, and Circle saying we're not going to give you your coins and we're not going to support these other side chains, and there's just so much chaos. But it is cool to be in a community and surrounded by devs of various projects that really do care about making sure none of that trash is on Pulse Chain. We're always going to see trash. There's going to be weird meme coins and rug pulls, but for the most part, from these bigger protocols launching on Pulse Chain, these are all really good people that have been in Hex since the beginning, that mean well, and it's just a cool feeling. I love it, and I hope to see some people in Vegas. I think we're going to have a good time, and that's it.
Jesse, I'm going to get you a brewski when we're down in Vegas, baby, and we're going to suck it down. So
Awesome.
let's get this going, guys. I'm going to be down there. I'm working for KSB TV while I'm down there. But when I'm partying and drinking, I ain't working. So once I get to those parties, baby, I'm getting handshakes, getting photos with all the peoples, because I want to have memories of all this stuff, because I have a feeling in the future we're all going to look back and just have a little chuckle at all these good times. So Jesse, great to hear from you always. Make sure you follow Just Ask Jesse. I'm going on with Crypto Sloth and Alex from Hedron on Crypto Sloth's channel at 6:30 p.m. guys. That is going to be nuclear, because we know ICOS is coming out. We know Alex is working like a slave hound, and we are pumped up because we think it got a little oversold, just a little, and just a little bit excited about the new projects and getting some ICOSA token with my, nothing crazy, guys. A little percentages just for funsy poo-poos. Just for me personally. I do have a fat Hedron bag though, but I was buying the bottom, so it felt like it wasn't nothing at the time. Everybody have a great day. I'm getting real excited about liquid loans, Power City, all these things. And when you come on, it only helps me feel more pumped up about that. So everybody, here's the outro, ksb.tv/golf. Jesse, have a wonderful day. And thank you, sir.
Yep. See y'all.
KSB.TV presents the Pulse Masters Golf Tournament. We have 2 shotgun times, 7:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Registration is 1 hour prior. The Concord course offers a 7,034-yard par 72 layout with Bermuda fairways and large greens. The spectator pass is $55. The individual golfer is $195. In the golf foursome, $750. Play Golf Network with others and win crypto prizes. September 5th, 2022. Contact us at KSBTV/golf.